Alright, welcome back. So, in the last part, we entered the castle. Now we need to actually head up the castle. So, don't let your ears deceive you. This is not Vampire Killer. This is, in fact, Deja Vu. Which sounds exactly the same as Vampire Killer. Because it is. So... this is a very gamey sort of, name for the song, because in universe, I mean, technically this is the first time that we've heard Vampire Killer, because, I'm going to try not to say, like, Vampire Survivors or Vampire Hunters or something along those lines. I really don't like these guys' placement right next to the stairs. It makes it so annoying to try and kill them. Since Castlevania 3 does happen before Castlevania 1. So in universe, this is actually towards the beginning of the timeline. I think. Timeline can be kind of confusing in any of these game series, but in this one, I think in particular can be kind of confusing, because supposedly Dracula can only resurrect every 100 years. That doesn't happen, because that just isn't what happens a lot of the time. Because often characters have to fight Dracula every, 10 years or so. In some cases, yeah. I think in the case of Rondo of Blood into Symphony of the Night, it's only like 4 years between the two. Because Maria is, I want to say 16 in that game. While her Rondo of Blood version is only like 12 or something like that. So you might be asking, a lot of this looks very similar, and yeah, that's kind of the point. Compared to, I guess, very similar to Castlevania 1. And some of the enemy placement and layout feels very similar to a certain stage in that game, which, if you know what I'm talking about, the God, stay still, you stupid skeleton. The aesthetic is very reminiscent of Death's stage in that game. So you can probably guess who we're going to be fighting this level. Ooh. Unfortunately, that was a random drop, so if we die from a blob that took, like, half of our health for some reason, yeah. The problem with the Whippers is the fact that they're so much faster than Sypha, or just any of the characters in general. Yeah, just suck it up. One of the things you gotta be careful about in this room is not to go back to the left when you're on the bottom, once you've gone to the right. Otherwise, another one of those bone-tossing skeletons will show up, and you're gonna have a very bad time if there's more than one. Okay, love that the axe just disappeared like that. Alright, so we got 3 levels left? Yeah, I think so. Honestly, like, obviously Castlevania 2 made death a literal joke of a boss. In fact, I think killing death was optional. You didn't have to do it, because I think the only boss that I think you had to kill was Carmilla, right? Other than Dracula, obviously. Because I think if you killed Death, you just got the... You just got the Golden Dagger, right? I want to say that's right. Which is completely optional. You didn't have to do that. Castlevania 1, if you did it correctly, Death wasn't too big of a deal. But otherwise, he was extremely annoying and difficult to handle. Castlevania 3, he is still a challenge, like he's a formidable challenge. You can't stun lock him like you can in Castlevania 1. But he still summons sights, and he can still be quite frustrating to deal with. But I think, especially with the Thunder Orbs, I find Death to be a lot easier to beat in this. Now, I say that, and you may have noticed that my lives went from 8 to 4, so I did die a couple times fighting him. But I didn't feel a need to use a save state for him. I mean, I did, like, I made one just in case, but I never had to use it. I do tend to make save states like before bosses, just because I don't want to deal with the entire level again if I get a game over. I try not to, again, I try my best not to abuse the save states too much, but there are definitely moments and bosses that I am very happy that I was playing this on the Classic Collection rather than the my physical NES copy. Alright, and with that, death is no more. We can no longer die. Yeah, that was always something in the Castlevania games that never really made sense, that they never really explained, like, what happens when you kill death. I suppose in the Netflix series, they kind of do a slightly better job at explaining it. Death in this is not like someone that brings souls to the afterlife. So killing him would, you know, stop all death. In the Netflix series, death was a natural being that was placed on the earth, and he just feasted on, like, I don't know if it was necessarily the souls or just, you know, the feasted on death itself. Like, he gained power through people dying. Okay, so in this level, I would recommend trying to get Trevor a couple of things. Some type of sub-weapon and his long whip. You're gonna want them for this this next boss battle. Now, the next boss battle is not Dracula. You might be wondering, well, if it's not death and it's not Dracula, who is it? Who could possibly be better than, who could possibly be, you know, the second to last boss in a Castlevania game other than death? When you're standing over here, make sure to crouch, otherwise that guy's fireballs will hit you. I believe the song playing in the stage is called Riddle, I want to say. That sounds right. Sypha's electric orbs are amazing for this, more or less. Now, they're not always going to guarantee a hit, and they can take a few tries to make sure that you kill, like that. But the fact that you don't have to really think about it, and you generally don't have to put yourself in danger using the electric orbs, makes them very beneficial to have. And I'm going to switch over to Trevor just because I do want to save Sypha's. I want to save some hearts for Sypha's electric orbs, and I can easily take care of the spear guards with just Trevor. This is another... there's almost never a bad time to have Sypha's electric orbs. Because they can definitely make dealing with the enemies on these auto-scrollers, I guess, technically. I don't know if there's any hidden items in any of these walls. I didn't really find any, but I didn't... If I had, like, all the time in the world, maybe I'd go through and check some of these walls. But, I don't know. It's not too big of a deal to me. I know there's nothing in this one, because I did check. Run, Sypha, run. Okay, it looks like you could avoid him in that corner, but you can't. Which is just kind of annoying enemy placement. Alright. Yep, throw in the random bat, just for good measure. Yeah, I think there's two ways you can technically go. You can either go towards the axe armor, or you can go through this door. This room sucks. Not only do you have to deal with the mermen and the current, but you also have to deal with the crows above you, and the occasional fireballs that the mermen spit at you. Again, I guess it's just kind of a weird graphical thing with the capturing these old games. Yeah, you thought I was going to run into that. Yeah, I had already done that at least a couple times, because I did use a save state in that spot, because that was a room that I was getting very frustrated with. Same there, because going through that room several times is not very fun. Now, jerk. Similar to, well, actually not similar to Tomb Raider, but it's just kind of ironic that we played two games where we fight a doppelganger. This is the long way. So what you do is you just switch between your two characters. Now if you're playing with this with just Trevor, good luck. You can confuse the doppelganger and stall him out, or stall them out, whatever. I don't know its pronouns, so you know. Definitely, if you have Sypha's electric orbs, this makes the fight a little easier. I know one time I was playing, and I was standing up on the upper platform there, and I don't know, or upper or lower platform, and it was getting confused, like, it wasn't moving at all. That was me accidentally thinking I was Sypha and could use my electric orbs. I am starting to run out of hearts, but we should be fine. Ooh, give me a kiss, Sypha. Rude. I love how in the middle of my my knockback animation was like, give me a second, I need to switch out. Alright. And that was the doppelganger. In the second to last stage. So we got one more stage. And this stage is brutal. You have Sypha's magic or thunder orbs. It makes the stage a little easier. It's also one of those stages where Alucard actually can come in handy. So again, Alucard's main ability is that he can transform into a bat. Now, yeah, we don't want that because that would be very bad. Stopwatch, again, similar to Castlevania 1, kind of loses its charm the farther into the game you go. Because it's not quite as useful. This is the room where having Alucard could be very handy. Sypha's magic orbs do work pretty effectively as well. And that's why having Alucard is kind of nice, because as you can probably guess, the blocks will start to break underneath you, and there's a lot of spikes down there. You're not going to survive. Okay. I really don't like infinitely respawning enemies. They are very lazy, in my opinion, and just adds to the difficulty and frustration like it really shouldn't. So in the Japanese version, this room is just a platforming challenge. In the North American version, they decided to add infinitely respawning bats that like to spawn like that right in front of you, with absolutely no warning and very little reaction time. When they spawn behind you, it can be just as worse because, especially when you don't have the electric orbs, you can't really do much about them without turning around and facing them, and oftentimes you can't actually jump, and by the time you get back, another one spawns. So here's one of the main differences in, or I shouldn't say one of the main differences, here's another difference between the Japanese and North American versions. In the Japanese version, if you died here, like that, you would go back to the bottom of the grand staircase. Now, if you got a game over, you would start at the start of the level again. In the North American version, though, that's not the case. You will always go back outside of the grand staircase. If you died, you'd go back to the last door that you went through. Now, this guy has 3 forms. First form, standard Dracula fight. Second form, that throw-up thing, not too bad with the electric orbs. This guy, I think he's a Mesopotamian chicken god or whatever. He sucks. This fight, just this third part, took me over half an hour. Now, granted, I only had 1 hit. Like, I could only get hit once. I cut a lot of stuff out for this playthrough because of just how much bullshit that's in the game. The axe, as I said, is actually a fairly good weapon for this fight. This part in particular is very handy to have the axe. Now, I'd recommend just doing what I did there, where I just stood towards like the edge where the blocks will like spawn up, and when it looks like he's about to fire, move out of the way and then move back. Never jump when the floating block is right above you, because you will land on the block. And oftentimes that's not good. That's going to lead to getting hit. And yeah, Trevor made many sacrifices. The long fight is over. Dracula is dead, and all other spirits are asleep. And turns out Sypha is a woman. Sypha, the vampire killer, has had a bad life, but since she met Trevor, she is beginning to feel more comfortable with herself. After this fight, the Belmont name shall be honored until the next game by all people. So yeah, that's it for Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. And happy Halloween, everyone. Or happy Halloween if you're watching this on the day that it goes up. Otherwise, have a nice day. Alright, thank you guys for watching this playthrough of Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. We're going to get some little credits. Vampire Hunter Sypha Velnumdes? It should be Belnades. Game. Acrobat. Grant Dynasty. I think it's Grant Dynasty. Grant Dynasty. And the only one that we did not play as is Alucard. Adrian F. Tepesh. And here we produced by Konami Dracula 3 project team. Good job, 1980s Konami. You actually tried. And starring Trevor Belmont. Help me. Thank you very much for playing. It's over. I can finally play Bloodstained Curse of the Moon now. I've been kind of holding off on playing it until I've finished at least this game, but I'd kind of like to do some more of the Castlevania series. But that'll have to be for another time. So, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next Let's Play.